See how happy they are after Hogak does Hogak things.
Yeah, I love seeing the players just having a good time before the match.
Oh, absolutely. Celebrate your accomplishments. Be proud of what you've done. Still a long way to go here, but already something significant has been achieved for these players. Jonathan Orr going to start with some fetch land action. It's a Bayou. Mox Diamond.
This is big.
Chalice of the Void.
This is it.
The really, really big play for Jonathan Orr there. That's going to shut off a lot of Tariq Patel's deck. And now he's got to put something together in the face of that Chalice of the Void. It's not going to be easy to do so. No more Carrion Feeder, no more Gravecrawler, no more Hedron Crab, no more Stitcher's Supplier, no more Cabal Therapy, no more Careful Study.
Yeah, and all the cards that you're listing, these are the cards that start churning in his deck, that get things going, right? Like, that's what facilitates his whole game plan, is these cheap one-drops.
Look at this. Do you see what's going on Tariq Patel's side? Discarded to hand size.
This might be what he has to do, right?
Love it. It makes perfect sense to me. You need to find a Vengevine, get it into play. You're just going to jam some 1-mana creatures into Chalice, let them be countered, but have a Vengevine. Use that as your offense. Smart adaptation for Tariq Patel. Desperation adaptation.
Yeah.
Unlikely to work, but this is what you have to do to give yourself a chance.
As a wagering man, all my money would be on Jonathan in this spot.
Absolutely. Renin 6 already on the battlefield, doing its thing.
But Tariq is definitely taking the highest percentage line play here.
I agree. In the face of that Chalice for 1 on turn 1, this was the adaptation to be made. Look, I think this match is going to be ugly. Things get better post-board for Tariq. Gets access to Force of Vigor, access to Assassin's Trophy. Chalice of the Void on 1. Scary stuff. And here's a scavenging ooze from Jonathan Orr.
Oh, let's move on.
Tariq, your deck is very impressive, but in the face of this setup, I don't have high hopes. We're going to fetch.
Oh, man.
What a hand from Jonathan Orr. Could you paint it any better? That's a one of Scavenging Ooze.
Yep. One, we need to stress the number of opening hands that contain the Mox Diamond, 2 lands, and Chalice of the Void, very small.
Yeah, I think that's true. Just an absolute banger of a draw from Jonathan Orr.
Jonathan making himself familiar with his opponent's deck there.
Just trying to get a little feel for the vibes coming off of it. Are there any answers in there? Nope, don't think so. Mismatched Underground Seas from Tariq Patel.
And I don't know if Tariq has a long-term plan here that he's actually playing towards.
My guess is no. My guess is just like, let's make Jonathan do something. Maybe there's some tiny amount of information we could possibly derive from the way he plays this game. And what can you really do here?
I mean,
hard cast and Vengevines.
Yeah, Bloodghast and Vengevines.
Yeah.
That's literally about it.
And we didn't start with a Bloodghast on this turn, so those aren't in hand. Here's a Dark Confidant. More advantages.
Yeah, Patel just being a good sport, right? Like, just, all right, man, have fun. Do whatever you want.
Enjoy.
With your 30 permanents.
Oh, yeah? Well, I've got 2 lands in play.
Yep. One is a beautiful Black Border Underground Sea.
Absolutely, and it looks like finally that's enough for Patel. We're going to go ahead and scoop him up. It's time for some sideboarding. Got a feel for Patel there. Or with the absolute perfect draw for a game 1 scenario.
Well, and like I said, the play draw is so big, right?
Right.
Like, if Tariq gets to go first, he potentially just opens with turn 1 Hedron Crab.
Yeah, and that changes everything.
And Jonathan cannot kill that on turn 1 very much of the time at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the next turn is like a fetch land and crack and get another land. My graveyard's full. Maybe get the Vengevine back right away, start pressuring the opponent, and it's just a completely different story.
Right, all the options open up. Why don't we take a look at sideboarding here for the players. We're going to start over on Jonathan's side. There you see 3 Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, 3 Leyline of the Void, 2 Plague Engineer, 2 Swords to Plowshares, 1 Assassin's Trophy, 1 Tireless Tracker, 1 Bajuka Bog, 1 Tarmogoyf, and 1 Crop Rotation. I actually think there are a lot of good options here for Jonathan.
Yeah, I like a lot of these cards. The easy inclusions are the Leyline of the Void and the Bajuka Bog, right?
Right.
And you're going
Graveyard Hate.
bring the Crop Rotation along with that to get that Bajuka Bog.
Agreed.
But then there's the Plague Engineers.
Great.
Tons of zombies on the other side of the board.
Yeah.
So that card's pretty good. And then there's a question of, do I just think Tarmogoyf's better than some of my other creatures? It's big, it tussles with Vengevines well, it attacks for much more damage than my other creatures do. So potentially you could want a card like that. Swords Plowshares, very clean answer to Hogak.
Slamming those Swords to Plowshares into my deck. I think that's a big get.
So against some of the other cards, the Stitcher Supplier, just exile that bad boy. You're not getting extra cards out of that.
Yeah.
So just tons of options there.
I like Orr's options here. Meanwhile, over on Patel's side, you see 4 Leyline of the Void, 3 Force of Vigor, 2 Veil of Summer, 2 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 Cabal Therapy, and 1 Duress. I think we just got to answer, we're looking to answer our opponent's plans here.
Yeah, for sure. So, 1, he's on the play this game.
Right.
So I think that lends itself to staying aggressive and having a streamlined deck. 2, like what he's trying to do is just generally better if it works than what his opponent's trying to do. So don't stop your opponent from doing what they're doing. Make sure you can do what you do.
Right.
So that being said, I bring in the 3 Force of Vigor, the 2 Assassin's Trophy. Maybe you bring in the Duress, maybe not, right? Or the Cabal Therapy. There can be an argument made for some of these other cards like Veil of Summer, but I think ultimately you don't want that much nonsense in your deck.
I'm with you. I'm going to pass on Veil of Summer, and I think my decision about the discard spells might be play draw dependent. I think they're probably okay on the play. I really don't want anything to do with them on the draw, is my thought.
Sure, but even there, you want to be making a play on turn 1 that advances your board most of the time.
Well, that's true. That's very true. Maybe you're just better off passing in the entirety and just staying as proactive as possible. This is Patel's deck. We'll let him tell us exactly how to do it. He'll sort it out. And we'll let you stick to where you're an expert, Craig. That's, of course, the Commander format where you do, in fact, have a deck built for every Commander in the history of Magic. And I know you never miss an episode of Star City Games. Commander Versus every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/SCG Tour. You see the best and brightest of the SCG crew battling in Commander on a weekly basis. Maybe they'll get you down there for a guest spot someday.
Maybe. Right now, I have every episode recorded on VHS.
Right. Obviously. I do all my recording on VHS, too. We're both very old. It makes sense that you haven't moved past that
and
yet.
then I just have, you've seen the fancy libraries with all the wood paneling and stuff and all the books and the ladder that slides around.
Yep.
Well, I don't have books. I just have
tapes, VHSs of Commander Versus.
And other Commander games, but these are my prized possession there.
Very nice. Very good stuff.
One day they'll maybe get sold and send my kids to college or something.
I might have to spend some time in your library prior to these Commander Fests coming up as I brush up on the format, learn my way around.
Don't damage them because I can't.
They're irreplaceable.
I can't imagine they don't go up in value.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
Right. Stonks, I believe, is the meme now. Are you familiar with that meme, Craig?
Oh gosh.
That's probably even outdated. I don't know why I try and meme. I'm too old. I'm not cut out for this. Some memes just speak to you, though. And I get roped in even though I know I should be not participating.
Yeah, not for you?
Yeah.
You must be at least this young.
The SpongeBob, I'm going to head out. That one speaks to me entirely. I constantly feel that in my soul.
Man, I am just not up on the meme game.
It would be disastrous if you were ever paired in the booth with Emma Handy. She would be running meme circles around you.
She is down with the lingo.
Yes.
Pop culture? I think so.
Mm-hmm. See a mulligan here for Patel. Jonathan Orr, though, satisfied with the opening 7. Scary sign.
Yeah, and yeah, we're going to see if it's Opens with Leyline, right?
You kept 7. I think there's a high percentage chance Leyline may be floating around. Here's Patel's next look. Can we cobble together a good 6 here? Doesn't look super pleased. One heads to the bottom, has the Leyline on turn 0. Happily throws it on the battlefield. Here's a Gravecrawler.
Pump fake.
False start. No, it is a Gravecrawler. Well, if you're facing a Leyline of the Void, you want to get on the beatdown plan, or shows off Bajuka Bog as well. Still had all these.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he ran the Bog out there, just because it seems like an insurance policy, right?
Right. That points to it being a land-light hand, possibly, but I do see another dual land in Orr's hand, so I agree with you. I think there's likely some value for that card later in the game. 2 mana, tapped. Scavenging Ooze. 3 of the 4 cards we have seen from Orr directly affecting the graveyard.
Which makes sense because, 75% of his deck does affect the graveyard, right?
I guess so. I mean, that's what the math is telling me here, so can't argue with that. Time for some more Gravecrawler beats. The good news is there's nothing for that Scavenging Ooze to eat in the graveyard because of the Leyline of the Void.
Oh, yeah, that's great news.
It's a big win. Here's Hedron Crab, probably just on chump blocking duty. Wasteland.
Even Wasteland is good here.
Yeah. Scavenging Ooze getting aggressive, followed up by a Plague Engineer, naming Zombie. Good God, these draws from Orr.
I don't even know what to say. We felt like this matchup would favor Hogak, but
certainly doesn't look like it right now.
Yeah, Orr just has everything.
Yeah, Orr has drawn by far the most effective cards in his deck for this matchup.
And if you want to win an event, that's what you got to do, right?
Sure, and you got to give props to Orr for putting them in the deck. That matters as well, building a well-constructed deck. For an archetype that's on nobody's radar coming into the event, Orr still has a very, very solid plan here and is finding ways to navigate this matchup. Dark Confidant coming down to further push the advantage. Here's a Bloodghast.
Yeah, we see a lot of decks show up with just 1 or 2 Surgical Extraction at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that would not do it against the Hogak deck.
Yeah, Orr came prepared for sure. Maze of Ith was revealed to Dark Confidant. That deals no damage and also can answer future threats from Patel.
If Patel can ever get a threat on the board.
Yeah, if that ever happens, sure. All the creatures headed into the red zone. That Bloodghast can't block. Crab doesn't want to, and Patel going to fall to 8. Second main phase for Orr.
And this is a great mix for Jonathan, too, because he not only is he shutting down everything Tariq could do, he also has a clock on the board to close out the game as fast as possible.
Yeah. Orr going to go after Underground Sea. I'll be honest, I think I like going after the Bayou better, but we might be splitting hairs here because the second Dark Confidant has entered the battlefield. Orr kind of has it all here.
Yeah, I think one of the considerations, it's almost a moot point, right? Like, leaving him on 2 lands is just so backbreaking. But you're probably thinking of the Force of Vigors and having to hard cast this card.
Sure. There's also Assassin's Trophy.
Yep.
Well, there's a second copy of Bayou, so scratch that. Some milling, courtesy of Hedron Crab.
Yeah, and he wants to mill himself, even though the cards are getting exiled, because he doesn't want to put a creature in the graveyard for Orr to eat with the Ooze.
Of course. There's Stitcher's Supplier. 2 of the Force of Vigors already in the bin. Stitcher Supplier immediately goes to the graveyard. Or exiled, I should say. Because of that Plague Engineer naming Zombie.
Oh, so many free cards.
How about a Mox Diamond? Land, no damage whatsoever from Dark Confidant.
That's just a lot of clean living right there is what that is.
Yeah, we're going to jam with absolutely everyone. Patel going to make a block. Nope, he's not. Swords to Plowshares, and that is going to do it in a dominant performance.
Kind of unbelievable.
From Jonathan Orr, takes down Patel 2-0. Craig, that wasn't even close. I mean, Patel's deck just did absolutely nothing in either game.
Well, but that's the way it goes sometimes, right? It's not a high percentage time that your opponent has the hate pieces on turn 1 on the play or